Hey guys, welcome to Sin's Hardware Review. Today we're going to do a preview on the Z77X-UD3H. And I'm Sin, and I'm going to give you a quick overview of the board. And this is a board I'm actually pretty excited for. Number one, because it's UD3H and thus affordable. Number two, because it has overclocking features no UD3H or UD3 have ever had in the past. Number three, because of the Z77 chipset, its overclocking capabilities, the new BIOS, the ultra durable stuff. And four, because it's just about to release. So let's go over some of the main features. This does have Virtue MVP, a full license for that. Just like most, if not all, Gigabyte Z77 boards, it has an MSATA connector on board. SLI crossfire capability here, Z77 chipset, Gen 3, ultra durable 4 label, which is basically glorified, so it's ultra durable 4, so it's basically ultra durable 3 plus the fiberglass PCB, and it's highlighting some of the components that make it ultra durable 4, such as electrostatic and power failure protection, like fuses. If we take a look at the back of the board, we can easily see everything about the all digital power, the 3D BIOS. We see all the stuff highlighting the ultra durable 4 moniker. Here we have 2-ounce copper PCB, easy smart response. It's just a bunch of marketing stuff, so I won't go over it too much. So now let's take a look at the board itself. Okay, so this is basically an unboxing too. So we have the driver disc here, blue Gigabyte sticker, some manuals, cool. 2 sets of different SATA cables. Well, from my previous experience, these are SATA 3 gigabytes per second. These are SATA 6 gigabytes per second. So the black support a faster speed, but the truth is, if you use either or, mix them up with drives that are SATA 6 gigabytes per second, you can still use these and have no performance hit. People have proven that there's really no difference between the cables. I guess they provided one blue or one black because they're really focusing on blue this round. Here we have a I/O panel, color coded and labeled for us. SLI connector, so you can SLI it up. So let's take a look at this board. It's in anti-static packaging, which is a good sign, because they didn't just put the board in there. Alright, so let's take this baby out. Now, let's say I'm charged right now. Let's say I didn't ground myself. So if I were to touch the board, I would kill it. I usually touch them by the heatsink to take them out. Then I like to ground myself on the back panel I/O. But let's say I just shoot in, let's say I short something. Let's say the ESD, I hit a USB slot and I'm charged a lot. Basically, they're little ICs here, like this. I don't think you can see it, even if you zoomed in, it's too small to see with this camera. So they're right here. There's one per USB port, and basically they help take care of that ESD charge. So you're basically ESD free. Anyway, so let's take a look at the board. I/O first. So here we have the I/O panel. 6 USB 3.0 ports. It seems like this is run off a VIA controller. So that means you have to install drivers to use these, but these should be fine. 4 outputs for VGA. You have D-Sub, DVI Dual Link, DisplayPort, and HDMI. This is done because of MVP. Many users want to use MVP, and the benefit of MVP is it basically allows your iGPU to be used in tandem with your DGPU, discrete GPU. So you have 2 GPUs even though you only have one discrete one. It's not really like hybrid crossfire because it does everything a little differently and works a little better. But anyways, it's pretty cool. 7.1 audio, SPDIF out, PS/2. Okay, now here we have the VRM. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 phases. So it's a 6 plus 2 plus 1 phase design. Fully digital power. Now, for Z77, I know that only Gigabyte and Asus have digital on all their boards. Right now, ASRock switched from digital to analog, I guess to reduce costs. That's what ASRock does. I'm guessing that's because, if you guys didn't read, Asus just wants to sell their 30% stock in ASRock. So that basically means they might not be working together anymore, which thus means ASRock cannot use the chill PWM that Asus has. But this is an IR PWM, and I believe Asus might change over to IR as well. But the only company I've ever known that went from digital to analog has been ASRock so far, which isn't a good sign. But anyways, These have 3 MOSFETs per phase. These MOSFETs, compared to the X79 MOSFETs used on the UD3 and the X79, these have half the low RDS on some of the MOSFETs, which means basically half the resistance and less heat in general when they switch on. Also, there's about 10 amp extra current on the low side, or high side FET, I believe. On the high side of MOSFETs, there's about 10 amps extra headroom per FET, per MOSFET. MOSFET short for MOSFET's FET. Anyways, these chokes are made by the same manufacturer that built the chokes on the X58A-OC. Now, those were custom-made chokes, and they did 50 amps per phase. These are not custom-made. These are just general chokes, but their UH rating is very low, about 0.36 UH. They possibly can push more current than the previous 0.8 UH inductors that Gigabyte used. We also see a change in the capacitors. They seem to be purple now. I don't know if that was just an aesthetic thing, whether it's the same company or not. I'm not really into going to capacitor brands, but anyways, you can see the heat sinks are a bit more basic than the Z68 one, and that's, some people like that. I personally like the fancy stuff, but fancy and chic, not like done ugly, you know. But these are fine. So this is the digital PWM. The memory, power, auxiliary CPU phases, and PCH all run on another digital controller right here. And this is an IR 8-phase controller, and this is a 5-phase controller, and it controls all the other phases. So all the switching power supplies on this board are digital. Now, let's look at some of the OC features, alright? We have power reset clear CMOS buttons right here, and we also have voltage read points. Very handy for overclockers. First UD3H to ever have those things. Here we have a postcode ADH. We also have a switch right here, and this is for dual BIOS. You can switch between your BIOSes with the flick of a switch. Of course, you want to wait till the system is off, but that's awesome. These things get me really excited about the board, and I'm missing one. Almost missed it. This extra SATA power connector allows you to plug in your power from the PSU and power PCIe extra with the power from this. It might even power extra DIMMs, give extra power to the DIMMs, but who knows. So you have SATA here, SATA 6 GB per second and 4 SATA 3 GB per second. On the back we had 2 eSATA connectors, and those 2 eSATA were provided by an extra Marvel chipset located here. PCI 3.0, this can do 2-way SLI right here. So 8X, 16X, so this will change on to 8X when it's 2 cards, just like a Sandy Bridge board, so the Z68. Here we have a new Atheros Ethernet controller. This is better than the Realtek possibly. Qualcomm now owns Atheros. Here we have a VIA 108 decibel controller. I believe it's, if you want to look it up, it's the VT2021. 108 decibel playback, 192 kilohertz audio bitrate for DACs, external stuff like that. A nice allotment of audio capacitors here. ITE bridge chip here provides PCIe because it's not native to this chipset. PCIe isn't. So it has to be provided by IC. Here's Super I/O, the ITE chip, and that provides all the voltage monitoring and fan. There are 5 PWM fan connectors on this board. One here, one here, one here, one here, and one there. Alright, so here, 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 and here. Alright, so you can all around the board. MSATA connectors right here. You have these PCIe 1X slots. You have your front panel here. This also has a clear CMOS jumper. You can use either the button over here or the jumper here, either or. So if you have a back case button, they sell them for like $5. You can just put them in the back of your case. Then you can still hook it up to here. So that's a plus. I'm glad Gigabyte kept that on the board. What else can we say about this board? It's using a different manufacturer of MOSFETs, which is good news. Only half the MOSFETs are heat sinked, which probably isn't a bad thing because they don't run hot. I've actually used a previous version of this board, and it worked very well under extreme conditions too. I actually got to 6.6 gigahertz with this board very easily in the first 5 minutes. The BIOS is very stable. Everything is great. Overclocking capability is excellent, and memory overclocking is excellent as well. These boards are top-notch products coming from Gigabyte. Even the UD3H will be sure to stun you, especially if you owned any of the previous Gigabyte boards, even an Asus board or an ASRock board or whoever else makes a board. These boards are solid, and Gigabyte has brought their game for Z77. So check out my full review, and I will show you everything about it. I will also have an Ivy Bridge overclocking guide. I know many of you read my overclocking guides, so I will provide one for Ivy Bridge as well. Alright? Thanks for watching.